What's up? This is part 2 in our 4-part series about preparing to homestead. Let's do it. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Amanda, and we help families make homesteading simple without wasting time or money.
We'd like to talk a little bit about our goals as we get started in our new homestead in Tennessee. Don't know if it's unreasonable, but the first year I would like to try to grow 25% of our own food. The reason we mention our goals is you can kind of be thinking that way yourself. What is my goal for the next year? And it's easy to say, I'd like to grow all my own food. But that's kind of a lot to tackle the first year. So think of something reasonable, whatever it might be. And, maybe it's just like, hey, I'd like to grow a couple honeybee hives, whatever it might be. Come up with a reasonable goal and then track yourself throughout the year and do everything you can to meet that goal. Keep good, accurate records of everything that you did and things that you learned. That's going to help you so much in the future. Basically kind of like a homesteading journal. You'll be able to look back, this is what I did last season, this is what I did this season, and
figure out what you want to change, figure out what you want to do different, and just go from there.
Kind of look like we're on a boat in the ocean.
True. Another thing you have to look at is your budget. Like, what can you afford? Figure out what are things going to cost. What exactly can you actually afford to do now where you are?
Yep.
Where can you start? So I'm looking at your budget, looking at what you can change in your budget to be able to maybe start a garden, which honestly starting a garden does not cost that much. But yeah, start a garden, buy some chickens. What do you want to do and what can you afford to do right now?
Yeah, and you don't always need the grand Rolls-Royce, state-of-the-art stuff, equipment, chicken coop, whatever it might be. You could start very, very simple. Get to know places like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, eBay. I don't know. There's all kinds of options to be able to get going for cheap. You could literally start a garden for less than $100. About $100, you could start a garden.
Yeah.
That ain't bad. And it could produce hundreds of dollars worth of produce for you along the way. So
totally worth it.
Totally worth it. And one more thing about budgeting, understand it's kind of like remodeling a house. If you've ever done it, a lot of times people say, oh yeah, I could remodel this house for $15,000, that would be fine, And really, I've been involved in remodeling. You need to really shoot high. So when you come up with a budget, try to just prepare yourself for a little more than you expected. And then hopefully, by being frugal and judicious, it's a very hard word. It's a very hard word. It's kind of like similarly. But by being judicious and frugal, you hopefully will come in under budget. But be prepared for hidden costs. There's a lot of hidden costs out there. So just add a little slush fund in your budget for that. Give yourself some wiggle room. Also, we'd like to mention this little tip called downsizing. That's right. About 2 years ago, we went on a huge downsizing venture. We actually sold our nice home and we bought an RV, which is actually where we are right now. To go from, a nice 2-story home with all kinds of elbow room to about 350 square feet was a major thing in our life. We sold so much stuff, and truthfully, we still have some things that we are liquidating even now. But downsizing, not only is it great to free up some extra cash or to free up, some extra room in your life, maybe some less worry, but it's also kind of a great mind shift. It's a great philosophy shift. And you start to realize more and more that you can do everything you want to with less.
Exactly.
You know, you don't need as much as you thought you needed.
Yep. And it makes moving for us a lot easier because we're just gonna like literally take our house with us.
Yeah.
To the land, park it there, and start our homestead. So
yeah,
it just makes it great.
Yeah, and you do not have to buy an RV to do this or a tiny home
That's
or anything.
Just our story.
That's just kind of what we did. But man, what a great, if anything, it's a great philosophy shift that you really start to figure out exactly what you need and what you want. And a lot, particularly here in the States, we have a lot of things that we want. And yet when you boil it all down, there's only a few things that you really need. Mm-hmm. And homesteading is really about simplifying life in the long run anyway. So mm-hmm. One added benefit is I don't have the money to get started homesteading. Well, if you simplify, you post some things on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or all these other different venues, have a good garage sale or 2 or 5, mm-hmm. You'll have that money in short order.
Oh yeah,
yep.
For sure.
And honestly, you won't miss it. You really won't miss those things. I don't even think about it anymore. So that's a good tip.
Downside.
Yep, it was good for us anyway.
So our next thing is prioritize. So when you think about homesteading, like, don't add everything at the same time. Don't do the animals and the gardens and the, like,
it'd be mind-boggling.
Just everything at the same time. It's really overwhelming. And I'm talking to you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a big dreamer. Okay, I'm a big dreamer. I want to do everything in life.
To do everything.
All right. So there is so much information on YouTube alone. YouTube is amazing. There is just hundreds of thousands of hours of amazing content about homesteading. That's where we found so much of our inspiration and information, and of course also with personal experience. But wow. And also there's some really, really good books. They're not paying me anything to do this, but I just got my new version in because I gave my other one to somebody. It's probably backwards, but it's called The Self-Sufficient Life and How to Live It by John Seymour. A great, fantastic book.
Yeah, it has everything in there.
It's got everything. It's like,
yeah.
So it's kind of all-encompassing, but there's so many good books out there, and they're coming out more and more, particularly with this new interest in homesteading.
Yeah, in our blog, I'll have a list of a bunch of books for you guys to go check out.
Yeah.
Make sure you go to our blog so you can get that list. Another thing to think about is, are you going to be cooking food from scratch? Which, if you live on a homestead, that's pretty important. And preserving food from your garden, you know, going out and picking that food is so rewarding. So, like, that is definitely something that you should start doing now to prepare. Like, what can you cook from scratch? Can you make your pumpkin pie from real pumpkins versus buying the cans? Or your apple pie, instead of buying the apple pie already made, can you try to make it this Thanksgiving? Or, you know, there's so many things that you can do, and just now where you're living, to practice and cook from scratch and practice preserving food. Dry some, you know, you can buy it from the store, and, you know, whatever, dry leaves out for herbs, you know, basil and oregano. Or you can try canning, you know, try practicing on canning. You can do that anywhere. No matter where you're at, you can preserve food and you can cook from scratch.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing that all along the way here as we continue this adventure. And we've been doing it in the past, but now we're going to be documenting it. And so hopefully that'll kind of help. But there's so many resources out there as well. And with each new skill that you experience and eventually master, man, it's just going to increase your confidence that you can be self-sufficient, and particularly in these crazy times. It just knowing a few extra things can really go a long way. Because, you know, who knows what the future holds. But if we are more self-sufficient, not only can we survive, but also thrive and help other people in the process.
Exactly. We did it!
We did it, babe.
Oh, yeah!
Oh, man. Part 2 is in the can.
Yep.
And there's 2 more parts to come.
Yep, so be sure to check out the vlog. It's going to be in the description below. And like this video. And share it with your friends.